Welcome back, everyone. This is the FloTrack Podcast. I'm Kevin. He is Gordon. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is the email address. This is the New York City Marathon recap show. Gordon, we are not in studio for this one. It took a couple weeks. I knew we were going to get bumped. It took a couple weeks. Audio issues. We are back home again. How does it feel?
Well, sometimes you say it feels good to be home, but I like the studio. I miss it already. It feels weird being in here. I mean, I still got my Tyrese Maxey motivational photo of me again, chat, me dunking. It's happening end of the year. But yeah, we had a technical difficulty apparently with the morning podcast in the studio. So they said, "Hey guys, don't come in." I said, "All right." So that's why we resort back to our roots, which is in a closed room in our homes. You have do you have kids at home right now or no?
No, they're all at school or daycare.
Oh, so you're just home by yourself. So this is great for you.
Well, I prefer being in studio. I like being in studio. I don't like having to somewhat organize this room. I'm used to it being a mess. I want to keep it that way. And the delay, I don't like the delay. I just like being in the same spot. We got spoiled, but hopefully we'll be back there on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah.
I got this new thing from Ryan Fenton, FloTrack legend. He is a realtor, so he has a bunch of apartments and houses that he rents out to people. And sometimes they leave stuff around. They like leave stuff when they move. They like just don't take it home with them. They left a Eagles 2004 black. And it's just, I mean, there's nothing really special about it. It's not signed or anything. It has a really like generic gold logo. But this is a team that they lost the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl losing team in 2004, Terrell Owens. But the plaque it just says NFL best. What does that even mean? NFL best. We lost. We were not the best in the NFL. We lost to the Patriots. But I have it now. It's going in my office. If you guys want to send me any Philadelphia memorabilia, I'll be more than willing to take it. So.
Yeah. Is that the equivalent to a world best?
Yeah, it's like a world best. So that's like Devin Allen. Was Devin Allen the world best 110 hurdler this year?
No. Though he was the world lead. I'm talking about world best where they don't keep you're not eligible in that event, like the 20K.
Oh,
or
like
the
600. Okay, 600. Yeah, oh, okay. So this is like who's a dominant 600 meter runner? Like Kaz Loxam? It's like the Kaz Loxam Award.
Yeah, I don't know, isn't it the
Isaiah Harris was really good at the 600?
The 2000 steeple. 2000 steeple. That's the El Bakali. I think he's got it. Or maybe he doesn't. But I'm not sure.
It's got to be someone who is the world lead in these events, but not the world best in the main event. You know, it has to be
actual event.
Yeah, who's really good in the 300 that was not relevant in the 2 or the 4.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like 55 meters. Who do you think led the world in 55 meters? Let's check that out.
Well, I think do they keep a world record for that? They did back in the day, at least.
I don't even know if they have it on the list. Can you find a 55 meter world leader?
Probably don't.
Oh, they do. Okay, we'll do men's 55 meter. Last year's world leader, Terrell Robinson Jr. He ran 6:25. It's a high school kid. I don't know. I'm assuming.
Well done.
So congrats, Terrell Robinson. You and the 2004 Eagles go down the record books.
So, all right, let's talk New York City. But first, we got a sponsor, Gordon, again. We're sponsored by Gooder Sunglasses, purveyors of sunglasses made for anyone who enjoys putting your body through hell and back. They got all different types for sprints, 5K, marathon, ultra, trail, and track, all for $25 or $35. The website is gooder.com, Goodr.com, $25 active sunglasses for anyone. They're all about creating fun, fashionable, and functional sunglasses that everyone can afford. No slip, no bounce, all polarized, and, Gordon, all fun.
Hey, Kevin, you know what the problem with sunglasses are? They can be expensive. They can be ugly. They can be over-engineered. You see this right here? The Gooder solution? Boom. Check out that logo.
The proper amount of engineering. The proper
amount of engineering. They're affordable. They're stylish. They're all performance. And you can wear them on podcasts and look like a fool. Free U.S. shipping if you buy 2 or more. 30-day free returns. 1 year warranty.
Underneath the headphones.
All right. 100% carbon neutral. We ain't dealing with come on. It's not 99% carbon neutral. It's 100%. We save 1% for the planet. Still been saying that line for all these ad reads many times. Still don't know what that means. Is that link clickable? Can we click on that? Is that a clickable URL? No, it's just underlined.
Yeah, it's just underlined.
Okay. What does 1% for the planet mean? Anyway, buy Gooder sunglasses and you'll find out. Check them out. Gooder, GOODR.com. Get a pair and you can rock them like me. I actually have a lot of Gooder sunglasses. These aren't the only ones. They didn't even give these to us. I just bought these on my own. So
yeah,
I was a client before it even became a podcast ad.
A sponsor.
Yeah.
All right, New York City Marathon. In the preview, we should have gone to our chief meteorological correspondent, Colt Joyce, because the weather ended up being relevant. It was hot and humid out there in New York City. We've seen all sorts of weather throughout the years in New York City, but it was hot and humid and ultimately impacted this race. But we got one result, which was unsurprising, but it unfolded in a very dramatic way. And then we had another result in the women's race that was a complete stunner. I want to start first with the men, though, Gordon. I'll start first with the men. We have Evans Chebet get the win. He completes the Boston-New York 2022 double. But early on in this race, one man stole the show, Daniel Do Nascimento, who decided to start the New York City Marathon on not course record pace, but world record pace, Gordon. The man was running through the streets of New York City on 2:01 pace through the first about 10 kilometers. By halfway, he was 61:22, well ahead of course record pace, 2-minute lead. And then it all started to fall apart. Mile 18, he has a bathroom break, which never a good sign, but we've seen people recover from the bathroom break and get back on it. Mile 20, he stopped. And then by 21, he full on collapsed to the ground. Luckily, he was okay. Evans Chebet went right by. And then the race was basically over. I mean, it was 2 guys essentially running completely separate races. Chebet had broken away from the chase pack. The gap closed between Evans Chebet and Katata by the end to a smaller margin because Chebet started to slow as well too. But if you were tuning in and out to this race, there's a good chance you only saw 2 people running. Do Nascimento in the beginning of the race and then Chebet all by himself in the end.
I mean, we see this every few races or so. You see someone go for it. And they go for it in a much, not put himself in it to win it, but put himself in an extreme pace. They watch a Kipchoge documentary or something the night before and go like, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. And I'm going to run 2:01. And we always say this, it never works out. It never works out. Like, has there ever been a situation where someone running out of their league, out of their mind, out of their typical pace, and it actually works? Like, I think every time we think maybe this is the one time, but whether you're watching like a mile, a 5K, 10K marathon, someone who does this, it doesn't work. Why do they still do it? Why is there always someone who bites and is like, maybe I can be the one? Because no one's ever going to successfully do it. Has there ever been anyone who successfully has decided to go out in not world record pace, but pace that is beyond your capability and just see if you can hold on?
Well, sure, it works sometimes, but you need to have a larger margin for error, and you also need to have a situation where if you fall apart, you're not literally falling apart all the way to where you can't continue to run. And his second mile was 4:20. I know it's a little downhill, but it's just preposterous. So you knew it was going to catch up to. I mean, he's a great runner. He's run 2:04. He had a similar situation in Sapporo at the Olympics, where he fell to the ground, but he got back up and finished that race somehow. I think this just is how he runs. A lot of people, they're somewhat unaware of where their red line's at. And until they get a grip on that, it's going to hold them back a bit because, especially in the marathon, you got to be able to stay on your feet, got to be able to run all 26.2 miles. But I just think he doesn't have a sense of where his limit is. You'd think, though, once you saw 420 like on your watch, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to chill for a little bit. That was a little hot. I got 24 more of these. Maybe I should dial it back. But he just kept going. I mean, that is
Yeah, but
so
I don't,
fast on that course.
but there's times you're in situations in life where it's like, well, I crossed the line. There's no turning back now. Like, I ain't, can't stop the train now. The train's already moving. And I think that's what it is. Like,
Yeah,
no
that's a good
point of,
point.
it takes
Yeah.
more energy to put on the brakes than just ride the wave, and it either comes crashing down, which happens 99.9% of the time, or that 0.0001% of the time, you pull off a miracle and everyone says, like, holy crap, But
Yeah.
it wasn't meant to be. It was kind of a little dramatic there when he collapsed. Luckily, he was
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. But hey, it created a unique story. It got you watching and be like, wait, is this actually going to happen?
Yeah.
Not even Kipchoge can do that. Like, even Kipchoge would fall apart when he goes out a little bit too hard,
Mhm.
So if the greatest of ever do it can fall apart, I highly doubt a 204 Brazilian runner is going to be able to pull it off either.
Well, again, there's fast and then there's what he was doing, which is so far beyond
Yeah,
what we had ever seen. Like, you're not supposed to be on world record pace
at New
in
York.
New York City. I remember Katani did it a bunch of years ago, and there was some story about how she was misreading the splits, like on her watch. She thought it was kilometer pace and it was mile pace or something like that. But to go out as quickly as he did, you had to know it was going to end at some. It just, we didn't know it was going to end in that fashion. So then, yeah, Chibet right there takes over. They actually had an issue with the lead car, like got in the way because they were like waiting for Do Nascimento to get back up, and then Chibet comes by and almost moves over into him. It was a little bit of a precarious situation, but he was solid. Like I said, fell apart a little bit. Like his split started climbing in the final miles, but I don't think anybody ever thought Katata was going to be able to make up the ground. And then Abdi Nagy gets in there for third, the former Olympic silver medalist. You look at this top 10, though, and with the exception of Do Nascimento, a lot of it held together, especially for the weather being that bad. Like, so you go Chebet, Katata, Nagy, El Arabi, Osako. Right? These are all people we thought were going to be in the mix. Now, Albert Career, defending champion, maybe you expected him to be a bit higher, but he didn't have to DNF. He got to the finish line. He got seventh. Like, the field for the most part stayed together. It was just slower and probably more painful than they would have liked.
This was another situation where the U.S. men kind of failed to have a breakout performance from one to, beat one of the top international contenders. Because you look at the U.S. results, Scott Fauble was a top U.S. finisher, ran 2:13.35, 2 minutes better than second American and Reed Fisher. When you start seeing the separate, then 4 minutes better than Jared Ward, and then 7 minutes better than the fifth American and Matthew Lano. So the Americans were not in a tight pack; they were all spread out. But what are your reactions to, one, Scott Fauble being the top American, and two, the top American not really ever having any shot with the top international guys and finishing, was it eighth or ninth? What was his overall finish?
Fauble was 9.
Ninth. So, basically completely separate from the top international guys.
I thought Fauble ran well. 9 is solid result for him. I think the person that you haven't mentioned, the person who we thought, if they were at their best, would have a chance to get into that top 5 because they got second in Chicago last year, is Galen Rupp.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could have held out hope. I was interested in Leonard Career. I thought he could be the top American based on what he's been doing. You had high hopes for Shadrach Kipchirchir's debut, but a lot of that was optimistically viewing the race. Practically speaking, you have a guy out there who's had some injuries over the last year in Galen Rupp, but who's also run fast and has won a major, finished runner-up in a major, has an Olympic medal, and he dropped out after 25K. And I don't know if we're going to see Rupp be able to get back to the 2021 form. I'm really curious to see if he's got one more in him or two more good ones in him. Because not only does he need to get back to that to be in contention, he's got to go beyond that if he wants to win. He can, if he gets back to that spot, yeah, he can pick up some top fives and stuff. But for Rupp to win a major marathon now, he's got to climb back to where he was and then go beyond that, because we know how deep the event as a whole is. And I know he got second in a Chicago field, but there was a lot of good guys who were not in Chicago that year.
I'm kind of moving towards the side that there's not another good one in him. Like,
yeah, you think that 2021 will be his last year?
Yeah, I don't see 2023 being anything. I mean, if he's not able to do it now, I don't think he's going to be able to get into form by April. I mean, he's probably going to run Boston, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll probably do Chicago or something like that. It's weird to think about it, but like, I don't think we're going to have like a Shalane Flanagan type moment where you kind of win at the end of your career. I think Galen might have, I mean, obviously his best days are behind him because of how great he was in 2012 and 2016. And that's a long time ago. 2012 was 10 years ago. It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a different athlete now.
It's when you started covering the sport.
Yeah, it's when I started covering the sport. Man, that joke will never go down. It's all because you just said I covered a sport for 10 years, and it's not true. I mean, I covered a sport for 10 years. You said I've only watched a sport for a decade.
People are too literal. I said a decade. I didn't mean actually like only a decade. Anyway, go ahead. I got us off track. I apologize.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if I were a betting man, which I am, I would bet that we won't see another top 3 performance by Galen Rupp at a major.
Top 3?
I'm going to say I don't think he'll make the 2024 team.
Mance, and then 2 others. TBD, yeah. TBD.
Yeah. Man, I don't think it'll be. I think the odds of Galen being healthy in 2024 are not good.
Yeah. He had all those years where he was never injured.
Yeah.
You never heard about a Galen Rupp injury. He was very durable. And then all of a sudden, and this happens with age, he had the Achilles problem, had to have surgery. Now the issues with the back. I just think the standard keeps getting raised every single year too. So you go back to 21, and 21, it looked like, okay, he's free and clear of the Achilles situation. Gets second in that race in Chicago. That was a good run, but that was still second again against a field that obviously didn't have Kipchoge, but there was a number of other people in there who would go into your top 10. The reason I don't want to count it all the way out is because you should never know how a field is going to get put together.
Yeah.
But I also think that the watered down fields post-pandemic are gone now. And now we're in the era of, we're back to every marathon being in its proper season again, which means you're going to have more and more of the power players lining up. But if you're saying he's got to run 206 to run that, or be in 206 shape, again, that means he's got to get back up to where he was before. I don't see it either.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm being a little too hyperbolic by saying he's not going to make the U.S. team, because when you do look at it, the U.S. men, it's not a hard team to make for Galen. So even 80% Galen probably could still get at least a top 3 finish at the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
But Mance will be on it. And then there's 2 more spots. It's going to be a surprise person. It's probably Abdihamid Abdirahman. It's always Abdihamid.
Abdirahman. Yeah.
Abdihamid. But you know what I'm saying.
Abdirahman.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Apologies.
Well,
and then,
funny you bring
up wild card. So.
It's funny you bring up his name though, right? Because if you look at Rupp just through the perspective of Olympic cycles, you have the early one that you make, then you have the prime ones where he's winning the trials. Obviously, wins it in LA in 16, then wins it again in Atlanta, dominates. Maybe though he will have that one last ride type of trials race,
like a med type thing, yeah.
Yeah, or Abdi, who has had 4 or 5 last rides, or even, I mean, Legat, I guess, won that year in 2016 in the 5K, and that was a crazy race. But will he? I think the question, a more interesting question than how is he going to finish at the majors, because I think that's pretty clear at this point, is the trials question. But we're just so far away, and 2 years is forever in the marathon. I don't know what that would be. And who do you feel really good in 2 years that Mance is going to be solid? I do. Can you say that about anybody else? How they're going to be in 2 years? No, not really.
Nope, can't. Is there a college kid right now? I mean,
probably. There's probably somebody that we've never.
There's probably someone
about.
who's like gotten like 14th at like NCAA track 5K and was like 38th in an NCAA cross country race. Who's gonna, gonna make, it's gonna be like a Colin Benny, Martin Hare type, where you're like, oh yeah, they were good, but now all of a sudden, they have put themselves in the mix to be, top 3 on the USA.
Speaking of good in college, Sharon Lokedi, 2018 NCAA 10,000 meter champion, pulls off just an absolute stunner.
Yes.
Gordon, she wasn't in your top 5. She wasn't in my top 5. If you can show me your top 5 from before the race and it has Sharon Lokedi in it, I want to see it, because she had long odds to win this race. When she was hanging around with a few miles to go and she was shoulder to shoulder with Salpeter and Gebre Selassie, that's the gold medalist and bronze medalist from this summer's World Championships. I thought, man, if she can just hang on, this is going to be a great day for her.
Yeah.
And she did not settle. And I give her all the credit in the world, because it would be so easy after running 24 miles just to say, oh my gosh, this is my debut marathon. I just want to hang on and get top 3. That would be a career-changing event. She wasn't satisfied. She went and won it. I am just completely stunned that she did this.
Yeah, and a debut too. Like, obviously we
in
knew
New
Sharon
York.
In New York, which is hard course, but you look at her career and like she was, she was good, but it wasn't like a watch out when Sharon is in the pro stage, she's going to dominate. And especially because she was a Kenyan athlete, it's hard to like excel as a Kenyan athlete in the long distance. Like the competition is fierce. And so you're like, yeah, you're going to be great in college. She had a good year at Kansas, but like it's going to be very monumental for you to make that next step to the Kenyan elite. And now in her first race, she does it, and she does it in like very impressive fashion. It just recalibrates your whole vision that you had for her, post-college career. She went from like, yeah, you're that former NCAA athlete who's good, who can, win a few prize monies here and there on road races. You'll, be in the mix in some US-based 10Ks.
Right.
Now to like, no, I'm a major marathon champion, and hey, the country of Kenya needs to like recognize me as like one of their go-to athletes when it comes to picking teams, because
I doubt they had her on the radar. I doubt that this race, I doubt they had her on the radar, because they have a lot of people to choose from. But this reaffirmed for me a couple things. One, what you are on the track or in cross country is not indicative of how you're going to be on the roads. What you are in the roads, on the shorter distance in the roads, is not indicative of what you necessarily going to be when it comes time to run a marathon, because she had run a 68-minute half. There were so many women in this field who had much better half marathon personal bests than Lokedi. Didn't matter. We went up to 26.2 miles. And to top it off, what you are or what you can be as a marathoner is just going to be different in New York City. When you're talking major marathons, the course is challenging. There are no rabbits. There's a lot of unpredictability out there. And you're more likely to see upsets here than you are going to see them in London and Berlin and Chicago. That's just the reality of it. So when you add all those things up, it's like, yeah, why should we limit someone's potential over 26.2 based on how fast they ran a 10K or how fast they ran 13.1? Like, there's still a lot of running left after that point. But the thing, I'll go back to again, the thing that impressed me the most is just her reluctance to settle, her desire to go beyond. And Because if you lined her up, who was the other high-profile debutante, or who was the high-profile debutante? Helen
Helen
O'Beary.
O'Beary. Yeah.
5 track medals, a silver this summer, a super fast half marathon, right? And Lochetti got the better of her. You put the resumes next to each other,
Not
take the
even
names
close.
away, everybody's picking O'Beary in that case. But it didn't matter. And this is what makes the New York City Marathon, Boston, this is what makes marathoning fun, is that true upsets can happen. And it was well earned for her. I'm so curious to see what happens next with her career, where she goes next. But to come out of the gate and do this was just I thought it was, yeah, it's just mind blowing to me. I did not have her on my card. Like when she was hanging around, I thought, great, that's going to be an awesome story how she gets third. Did not fathom that she was going to win this thing.
Yeah. And, that shows the uniqueness of a debut. You don't know what you're going to get in a debut. You could get a incredible performance like this. You could get an average performance, and you can get like a welcome to the marathon. Like for Shadrach Kipchirchir, that was a welcome to the marathon moment. For Galen Rupp, it was I'm here and I'm ready when he made his marathon debut at the trials in 2016.
Yeah.
Like you can go in either direction, and it's an unknown, and there's no way you can truly tell because they've never done it before. You can look at all the half marathons, and we looked at Helen O'Beary. We looked at her road races, and I was like, man, she's looking kind of good. I think she's going to run well. And she gets 6th, and she loses to Sharon Lochetti, who's like super, not naive, but like just like no pressure, no expectations. And then she runs freely and is able to get a win that this ain't winning like some, I don't want to dunk on like a random city's marathon, but this is one of the 6 most important marathons, right? So like this is a big deal. That.
Yeah, guys, the New York City Marathon is a big deal according to Gordon. So don't say like otherwise.
I'll dunk on my own hometown, the Lehigh Valley Marathon. It's not winning the Lehigh Valley Marathon.
And it's part about the name of the marathon, but I'm also looking at who's in the marathon because we know how good Salpeter's a 217 runner. Gebrselassie is a 218 runner. They've also performed well in championship style races this summer. 4th, Edna Kiplagat, veteran, but is always in that top 2 or 3. She's legit. Viola Cheptu on the podium last year in New York City. O'Beary, we already talked about how good she is. Like, this was a legit field. This was not one of those where
watered down.
Everybody went to Berlin and Chicago this year. Yes, women's marathoning is so deep, and you could say, oh yeah, there's, Chepengedich isn't there, and what about Koskai and all that? Yeah, you could say that. That's fine. But there's still other really good people here, and Lochetti beat them.
And what makes this one even more impressive, in my opinion, a lot of times you get wins over stars because the stars like DNF or they just have a bad day, right? And it's like, did you beat them or did their bad day help you win? Like Salpeter and Gebrselassie, they were in it. Like she beat them by 7 seconds and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
There
was a battle
like
in Central Park.
Yeah. There wasn't like it wasn't your day. Like it was their day. This was a day for either of those two to win. And Lochetti just had was able to beat them on their day, which I think means something. It's like, is your win over Kipchoge at that London Marathon when he got like 7th or 8th? Is that win a real win over Kipchoge or a win over Kipchoge where Kipchoge gets 2nd and you beat him by 10 seconds? That feels like a real win. And I think that's what Lochetti has here. She has legitimate wins, not if they didn't have a side stitch or whatever, and you know, they were dealing with an injury, like she straight beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I will say any win over Kipchoge you take and you frame it.
That's true. You frame it.
Put it up on the wall. You're like 7th place, London Marathon.
You make one of these plaques. Frame.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't even say 7th place. It just says 1 place ahead of Kipchoge, 2020 London Marathon. That's what it says. Let's look at the rest of the field and how they did. So as I mentioned, we had Kiplagat 4, Cheptu 5, O'Beary 6. I don't think that's a bad run for O'Beary, by the way. I thought all the hype about she's going to knock it out of the park on the first one in New York. I thought let's give her a race or two. Now Lochetti kind of ruins that theory because it was her debut too. But I still stand by the fact that it's very hard to do that on your first marathon. And then we go to the first American, Tuliamuk in 7, then Emma Bates right behind in 8, Jessica Stenson of Australia in 9, and then Nell Rojas in 10th. Other Americans, Lindsay Flanagan, then Steph Bruce, Keira D'Amato ran 2:31, Lyndon 2:32. So Tuliamuk ends up being top American. I thought she was going to be the second American behind Emma Bates. So I got those flipped. But otherwise, I'm not too surprised by how the Americans ran.
I mean, Keira D'Amato being the 6th American, it's a little bit surprising how good she is. I mean, I guess
Her
it shows
marathon.
Don't run 30 marathons. Yeah. She didn't run 30.
Definitely run 30.
She ran 4.
Well, she had 4
3 in
just
4 months.
Yeah. The succession of them. Yes, exactly. Back to back to back like that is awfully tough. But I think going forward, U.S. women are fine. They still have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
The world is fast.
I might be naive. Didn't Stephanie Bruce retire?
This is her last one, I think.
Okay.
Someone can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I believe this was her last one. This is also Abdi's, like,
everyone says it's their last one, and then they come back and like, oh, one more. I'm running Boston. Surprise!
Yeah. Well, because you can always enter the race.
Yeah.
You can always enter the race. That's the thing. Oh, I'm semi-retired. I'm partially retired. Because Abdi said this was his last one as like a pro athlete, but then he might run it more as like a half in, half out. But he didn't finish, unfortunately. So and then you got to go back and finish, right?
Yeah. There's Lyndon. She's still going?
Lyndon was leading early on. And then the back half was rough.
No, I meant like, how old is Des now?
She 38?
39.
Sure.
Like, is she still planning on grinding to 2024?
Well, I thought she was going to do longer stuff after she ran that 50K. I thought she might switch into longer stuff.
Now she's here finishing, in the top 10 of the U.S. women.
Yeah,
New York City. This is so funny. It's like you like, it's she didn't make the 2020 team, so you're like, okay, she had that Boston win, making the team in 2016, so all stuff, and then you're like, all right, this is the end, but then no, not so much. I'm coming back, and still running legitimate times. Like, you don't wake up and run 2:32 at New York City. Like, you gotta train for that. You
and call it a bad race too. She said she was embarrassed or something too. So she's not just saying that to say that. She had training that indicated, and she wouldn't have run that aggressive. That she wouldn't have run that aggressively early on if she didn't think she could run that pace. I think what's cool about her continuing to go is you have new people coming into the equation on the American women's side faster than people are retiring.
Yeah.
So the impact is you just get this bigger and bigger group of people. Now, the people at both extremes are going to be longer shots to make a team or to have a big race, but they're still there. So you could get to 2024 where you have some true vets. Then you have people in their prime like Sisson right in the middle, but then also some people who are going to have promising debuts or maybe a fast half, and you're like, oh man, they're the future, and you have all that coming together. That's what's fun.
So does this but does this top American performance by Tuliamuk, would you put her back in the conversation for making the 2024 team now? Because no one was putting her in that conversation. We kind of, after she, had her baby, and you're kind of thinking, all right, you see Sisson coming in, D'Amato breaking the records, and all these, like you said, newer faces coming in. You kind of forgot, wait, well, Tuliamuk won the trials. Like,
she won the trials. She won the
freaking trials, and we're all of a sudden like counting her out. Now you count her out because she took a year or two off, so you get excited about the new dopamine of Molly doing her thing, Sisson doing her thing. So, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think over under 3.5 place for Tuliamuk at the trials?
We're doing trials predictions already?
Yeah, we're doing it. Just her. Just the Tuliamuk prediction. Tuliamuk prediction contest. Sign up.
I think so. I'm just interested in the whole that whole 3 though, right?
What do you mean that whole 3?
Like the 3 who made the team. Like, I
Molly,
think it's really,
Tulamuk, and Kipyego. Yeah.
yeah, maybe
Could we
less
have
on.
an entirely different three?
We could, but I'm also saying don't count out the three because that's what we always did with Abdi. It's like, oh wait, he's
Yeah.
back. Like that stuff.
I want to put you on the
That stuff
record if you
matters.
think Tulamuk's going to make the team, because I feel like
I
you don't want to
think
answer
I'm
that question.
not going to comment now. I don't want to. I don't do 2 years out predictions like you do. No. I mean, who do you feel great about right now making the team? Is it just
Sisson,
Sisson? Is that it?
Emma Bates,
She's very
maybe
consistent.
she's consistent. Because the thing about D'Amato, Hall,
But here's the thing: we don't know where
you
the
think
race is
like,
going to be. We don't know what the
yeah,
course is going to be either, and that has a huge role to play in this too. Because the Atlanta course being hard definitely changed it. What about Seidel?
this
Like,
is
there's
my
so
take.
many.
This is my take now. I got my official 2 years out 2024 take. There's only one lock on the women's side and one lock on the men's side. Connor Mance on the men, Emily Sisson for the women. Now, the reason why we don't know who's going to get second and third for the women is because there's too many great names. The reason we don't know who's going to get second or third on the men is because there's no great names.
Yeah.
So it's like this unique thing was like there's who do you leave off is the question for the women. For the
Yeah.
men, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who do you add in? It's the
Yeah.
question
Who do
for
you
the men.
elevate?
It's like who do you
Yeah.
elevate? It's kind of unique how like one is like we really think this person is going to finish top 3 on the women's. We really think this person's not going to finish in the top 3. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's
If
my
you put it
2024 take.
if you yeah, that wasn't a take. That was more like an observation, but that's okay. With the men, you feel like you're bestowing on them this great honor of man that they think I can be in the trials. And on the
Yeah,
women's side, just like, oh, it's disrespectful to make a 3 because you're going to be leaving off 6 people who
should
could
be in the
potentially
3.
make the
Yeah,
team. Yeah, I don't. Sisson would be the only one, but again, I just don't know where the race is either. So it's hard to say. Good take though. Way to close out the segment, Gordon. Well done.
there you go.
Uh,
Some people say I have great takes. Some people not so much.
yeah, Jamaica does not think you have great take. How
Jamaica, you
about
others?
5K? We had the 5K the day before. Wayne Kaladi wins the women's race 15-16. Abdi Nur wins the men's race 13-24. He took a wrong turn, very close to the finish. I can relate. I would have done the exact same thing. I saw a quote, I think it was in a Let's Run article, where he's like, yeah, they told me to follow the car. I followed the car. He followed directions. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
No, that's on Abdi. That's on Abdi Ahmed. No, come on. He
No,
should
no, I'm just
know
saying
that the
I'm
car's
just
not
saying
going
I
to
can
go through the
relate to
finish
it.
line.
I know, but I'm saying I could relate to it because I would have been a very literal person and said, follow the car.
So you're
And they
like
told
the
me to follow.
kid in Angels in the Outfield when they says run home and he hits a home run and he says run home, and then he runs home and
No,
not to home plate. That's what you are. You're the
no,
kid in Angels in the Outfield.
I'm like Michael Scott when he gets a GPS in his car. And even though they know they're going to go into a lake, he's like, well, this is where they told me to drive. And then your car gets flooded. But how many road races has Abdi Hamid Nur led or won?
Yeah, it's probably his
New,
first.
new, new experience for him.
I mean, you look at the field though. Like, I mean, he didn't really. There was, I guess, Hillary Bohr's good, but Steeple, he's supposed to win this race, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he did.
And he did. Yeah.
He took care of it. Same
Women's
with
side,
Kaladi.
Claudia was supposed to win that race.
Yeah, Erica Kemp was second. Emily Enfeld was in there, but in third, I guess, right behind Kemp. Photo finish there. But yeah, I expected Kaladi to win. I was thinking about Kaladi because I've always been on the Kaladi marathon train,
Ooh,
and after
throw her in the mix.
What's that?
What, her training partner, Loketti? Yeah.
Well, so it made me think about that just because both NCAA athletes competing around the same time won the 10K. Kaladi obviously was won a bunch more, but I always thought just with the way she runs and the style she runs, she'd be great once she goes to the longer stuff. But it sounds like she's got unfinished business in the marathon or in the shorter stuff. So she'll take care of that. And I could be wrong. That was just a hunch. Again, I never would have said, even after Lucchetti won in 2018 and upset Krisha Schweizer, I don't think anybody was like, you know what, in 4 years, New York City Marathon champion. That's what we're gonna say. I don't think anybody would have said that. So you just don't know. You don't know how people are gonna react when the distance gets that long.
Yeah.
All right, some Austin, Texas news. I saw this on Instagram.
Big news.
Matthew Centrowitz is engaged, and this happened in Austin. So any runners in the Austin, Texas area will be able to immediately recognize the site of the proposal right there on Town Lake. On any given weekend or even weekday, Gordon, you get thousands and thousands of runners passing by that exact spot. So congrats to the happy couple. They should put a little plaque there. Since so many runners run there, they should put a little plaque there commemorating that the Olympic champion.
We could go do
proposed.
that. You know what?
Yeah.
I'll put this plaque right there, and I'll take a photo of the thing, and we'll just do a little ceremony. That'll be fun.
Yeah. How many times have you been by there on a bike or running, would you say, in your time in Austin? I'd be like hundreds, right?
Yeah, many. Yeah, it's Town Lake Trail. Yeah. You can see our office kind of from there if you zoom in on the main photo. Go back. Yeah. We're like right behind one of those buildings. You zoom all the way in to that skyline.
It's Gordon's house. It's AKA.
No, my house, I'm actually really close to there. I'm like a mile north.
Mm-hmm. I also liked on the video, just random people walking around in the background. Again, maybe they didn't recognize him, but it'd be cool if somebody did and they say they got to see that. Should be fun.
Well, here's my question. Was all the friends and family like hiding?
You can't hide there. That's on the promenade. Unless they were hiding underneath the bridge.
Did she know it was like, you know?
Here's what I'm guessing happened. Yeah, here's what I'm guessing happened.
We need a marriage proposal breakdown
okay.
segment. Here we go.
As somebody who has a undefeated record in marriage proposals, I think I'm a little qualified to break this down. Right. Want to know?
I never lost either. So.
Well, you're 0-0-0. I'm 1-0-0. What I think happened is they went out to lunch or they went out to some sort of meal and like, hey, let's all go for a walk on the Town Lake Trail. He told all these family members. They obviously knew about it. And they created some sort of moment where the two of them could separate from the rest of the group. And then he popped the question. And then people love having their friends, well, not everybody, but a lot of people love having their friends and family right there. So it's a cool moment to have them right there, as opposed to then you have to call and text and notify everybody, and involving the families is a lot of fun. So they weren't hiding. They were just standing there. And then she was probably just talking to him. They were staring out the water, and then boom, he does it. And then she says yes. And then boom, instant party.
Right next to the water
about it on the
would
podcast.
make me super nervous. That's just me, though.
Why? Oh, with the ring?
Oh, yeah. I would be panicking. Oh, yeah. That's so nerve-wracking, dude.
That would have been...
I have to say, one of the more nerve-wracking times in my life was when I was carrying the ring. Pre-proposal. I just wanted to do it. To get it off my hands, yeah.
Centro's a tactician. He's good at, holding the line on the inside. So there's no chance he was going to fumble this one.
I didn't think about that, Colt. That is a great point. They were in that first photo. They are very close to the water too. Like it's
one trip, that rail.
Whoa. Did he have it in the pocket and then pulled it out, or was it in his hands the whole time? I don't know.
You go for the hug afterwards, like you get excited, you kind of, freak out a little bit. Like, oh gosh.
Well, by then it's on her finger, and then it's out of it's literally and figuratively out of your hands. Once it's on her finger, you don't need to worry about it.
Then it's her responsibility. I see.
Yeah.
I like how you said well done. You're 1-0-0. There's ties in marriage proposals?
No. 1 like .00000. Like I was doing like a batting average. Like
I thought you did 1 like a win-loss tie record. Like
I screwed that up.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, when do you tie?
I just saw
like
it
a
and
maybe?
I thought it was interesting.
Did somebody get like a maybe?
No, I just thought it was interesting. I want to talk about this. You didn't. I just like that I recognize the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
cool.
the
It's our
guy.
backyard.
When I scroll through anything on social media and I see something and I know I've been to that, I get really excited. It's very weird.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean,
Do you
do you
ever
get
do that?
excited when you see like places you've been, like in movies and TV shows? You're like, oh, I've been there.
Through the moon, man. I Google it to confirm, and then I spend half the movie trying to film. Oh, yep, that's that warehouse on 4th Street. I knew it.
Speaking
The
of
movie's
that,
over.
I gotta show you something.
We know you're in social network. We know it. You've
No,
told
no.
the story before.
So, okay, I'm gonna download it and I'm gonna put it in the thing so Colt can put it up on the screen. So, as you know, tell the audience, Float Sports is multiple sports. We have a lot of big fans in the motorsports world. So it's called Flow Racing, very popular, covering basically all the dirt track racing. Our colleague Jeremy, who made the NAU Running with the Boys film, is currently working on a dirt film, which is really badass and cool. He's been working on it all year. Just checked it out when it comes out next, I guess 2023. But then anyway, they live stream motor racing events. And on Amazon Prime, in the show The Peripheral, which is like this new like big sci-fi show on Amazon Prime, there's a TV scene where they're at the bar. There's a scene where they're at their bar, and on the TV, they're watching Flow Racing. That's in the background.
I thought it was gonna be me and you.
Cool. No, it's not me and you. They're not going to put our podcast in an Amazon Prime bar scene. But this is like a big like thing. I guess it takes place. It's filmed in Austin, so I don't know.
I prefer stories that center around me more.
But it's kind of you. It's your colleagues. It's your colleagues'
Jeremy's
live
work.
stream.
Shout out to Jeremy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeremy. Do you want to do Guess My PR or do you want to save that for Wednesday?
I think we save it for Wednesday.
Okay.
What is the Chapin saying?
Bill says 2028 Olympic marathon team Alicia Monson. So he's doing a 2028 prediction.
Skip 2024. He's thinking right to LA. He probably already has his tickets booked. Do you have your Airbnb ready for LA 2028?
No, I know enough people in LA. I'll be covered.
Wait, will your son be in college then?
In 2028?
Yeah.
Do you know how many years away that is?
6 years. So
you just made me. How old is he? How old do you think my son? Take a guess. How old's my son? My oldest.
Oh, he's probably 6, right?
7, but yeah.
7. Okay, so 13. Oh, yeah, I'm off. By. I thought 2028 was a little farther away. Yeah. But there could have been a chance.
2032, probably his first Olympics.
Well, 2032, that's when the World Cup is in the U.S. in LA.
No, I don't think it's the same year.
2026.
It can't be the same. It can't be the same year as the Olympics, can it? Yeah, we're gonna miss that one as well.
What I was trying to say was your son could go to USC, have an apartment there, and then we could stay at your son's college dorm.
Yeah,
but we can't because your son's too young.
Let's see what else. If we got on the chat. Yeah, David says a good 10K runner running a good half shows very little about the marathon. It's a good point. I will say this, though. In the U.S., there's just sort of a lot of crossover between 5K success, 10K success, and marathon that we got used to it, right? Like Shalane Flanagan all those years could do it all. We've seen Hall be able to extend her range and run well in a bunch of different events. Obviously, Molly Huddle, right? And now Sisson. We see it less so on the men's side. Like if there was a steepler out there, an old steepler who's now running fast, for the men, it would be like kind of surprising. But on the men's side, I think it's more just once they get to their specialty, they stick in that one spot. Anthony says Rupp is experiencing what must do when you grind your body down. Yeah, All in the Game asks, is Galen done at this level? I think we somewhat asked that. Oh, Under Armour. Someone says Under Armour. Big win. I think
Yeah, Waney and Loketti and the wins on the women's side. So,
well, I think it was David Monty who posted it. It's like the first ever major world marathon major win for an athlete sponsored by Under Armour.
it's a very unique stat. I mean,
well, but then you think about it and you're like Adidas,
Brooks has won,
Nike.
Adidas, Nike.
Yeah. Well, Skechers.
Who else?
Yeah.
Puma? No. Is Puma?
We have to look it up. That's a good question. I would say no.
Probably it's Mizuno. From like one of the Japanese results probably had a Mizuno winner.
Oh, you think? They've won a
Tokyo's
major?
Tokyo's probably had a Mizuno. Has a Japanese athlete ever won the Tokyo Marathon?
I don't think since it's become a major. I don't think so. Yeah, Keds has a couple titles. That was a big surprise. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right, let's leave it there. We got to go. Got to fix these mics. I'm gonna go down there personally. Start asking some questions. Well, back
Getting
Wednesday.
Some answers.
I'm just gonna answer questions. No one's gonna pay attention.
Wait, so this weekend is NCAA regionals, right?
NCAA regionals this weekend. NCAA nationals next weekend. We'll do Guess My PR on Wednesday.
So I think on Wednesday I'm gonna predict who the 31 teams that make it.
This Wednesday, Gordon will predict 31. So tune in for that. That'll be thrilling. Just kidding.
It's that type of reaction, Kevin. Come on. Get a little bit of excitement. It's NCAA cross country. You can get sick again, and then I'll have to do the podcast solo.
Oh, yeah. For the record, I want to correct the record. I got a call on Saturday morning from my doctor because it takes forever to get test results for the serious strep throat test. I had strep throat. So I have a legitimate excuse, Gordon. You're saying I was faking being sick. Not only did I feel sick, I had it documented. And she said,
you can get a doctor to say whatever you want these days.
She said, start taking the antibiotics. And I was like, I'm 3 days ahead of you. I wasn't waiting for the call. You gave me the prescription. How much did it cost
for a doctor to tell you take antibiotics?
Well, no, the question is how much does it take for them to write the prescription for the $3 antibiotics? So that's what I needed. I knew there was something wrong with me. It wasn't just a normal sore throat. It was a sore throat from hell. And I was like, listen, my voice is how I make my living. No, I didn't say that. That would be ridiculous if I said that. But I just wanted to correct the record after you criticized me, mocked my commitment on the show.
You probably could write off doctor visits because your voice is your job, right? So it's like a job expense.
No, Gordon, we get health insurance. That's what health insurance is for.
Can we...
No. The answer to your question is no. I don't know what it is, but the answer is no.
Can we expense our haircut because we're on camera?
You want to talk about haircuts again? You got roasted last time.
What is it, like $12? Like a $12 charge?
I should be able to expense my haircut because it's like part of my job.
You can't get a haircut. You can't get a haircut for $12 anymore because I'm not going to say the name of the company because people will make fun of me. Let's just say it's the lowest.
Great clips.
Let's just say it's the cheapest one, and the cheapest one is now more than $12. So I
never said my haircut was $12. I think I said it was $20. No, but hold on.
Yours wasn't. I
should be able to expense my haircut, and that means I should be able to expense clothes because it's my uniform.
Wardrobe. Yeah, wardrobe. Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, all those novelty shirts you get.
So I should find a way to expense everything. Can I expense my internet connection?
Okay, because we're gonna end the show.
I'm gonna expense all of my expenses.
You're wasting Colt's time. Fraud. I'm gonna end this on the advice of counsel. We're gonna end this show. I'll end with a positive comment here on YouTube. Mile by Mile Media says it's nice watching the live show instead of just listening to the podcast because the facial expressions add so much in a good way. Fully enjoy the. That's
good. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We have a great face for podcasting.
Same. For grainy YouTube feeds, we have a perfect face. We'll see everybody on Wednesday. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or you can find the show on our YouTube page. Subscribe to the FloTrack Podcast YouTube page. We are live 12:30 p.m. Central Time for an hour on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks to Colt for producing. Thanks to Gordon for co-hosting. We'll talk to you guys next time.